Hi, everyone. It's the Catholic CEO, Henry Kutarna. Welcome to our Exemplary Catholic Leaders series. Today, we have a special guest, Camilo Caldera. He's the founder of Providence Brokers in Nicaragua. And so I'm happy to welcome Camilo. Camilo, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Henry. How about yourself?
Well, doing great too. Thank you.
Mhm.
It's always exciting to hear other exemplary Catholic leaders because the whole point is we want to show all the other people that listen and watch this that you can be Catholic and successful in business. So let's start talking about your business. Camilo, tell us about let's begin with what is your business and how
Mhm.
does it operate?
Awesome. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me and for considering me to do this interview. I'm honored to be here. As I've mentioned the last time we spoke up, I followed your newsletter for a while now, and I'm really truly honored to be here. So I run alongside my wife, Kirsty, she's my co-founder since 2014. We run a financial services brokerage firm. We basically represent American companies that operate in the States, offering services to Latin America for health insurance, life insurance, investment plans. And we provide those services to people from Latin America. We have a group of brokers that work with us under the structure of Providence Brokers. So I would say those are our main customers because we serve them, we help them do their business, and then they would go to the markets and well provide the services to Latin America.
That's great. So
Mhm.
it's really it's a business run by Catholics, but is it a Catholic business in the sense that you serve a broader clientele or everybody's Catholic, or how does that work?
No, we don't have a like a specific type of customers. We serve anyone, all of the market basically, and that's also true with our brokers. One of the main values that we would like to promote here at Providence Brokers is our faith. So we share our faith as we are all Christians, but we have some Catholics, some from other denominations. We try to be quite upfront when we talk to people and when we invite someone to work with us under our structure. But yeah, some of our brokers are Catholic, some of them are from other denominations, evangelical, and our clients, of course, are uh, from all. When you serve a customer from Latin America, most likely they will be Christians. So um, that's our basic clientele.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, understood. Understood. Thank you.
Hmm.
So, one of the interesting features is the Catholic CEO, we love family business, and so
Hmm.
you're working with your wife in the business
Hmm.
and, there honestly working with a spouse in business can be complex and we
Yes.
know that. And so what's your secret for how do you have a successful, marriage and family plus work in the business together? How does that work?
Well, our industry, I would say, and this is, I think, true also in North America, in Canada, and in the States, it's a very family oriented business. It's quite often that you see a second generation or third generation insurance broker or financial services broker. This is true with me. I'm a second generation insurance broker.
Mhm.
So I think it's ingrained on the way with the business, specifically for us. I think since the beginning, we had a very strict separation of what she does, what I do. I handle the commercial side of the business. She runs the numbers and make sure the house is in order. And but eventually, I would say, and I think she would say it also. She respects my leadership and she trusts the vision that I try to provide to the company and where we try to go, who we can do business with, because that's a very important part of aspect of our business. So I think that having clear boundaries on what the responsibilities for each person in the relationship is and this is true also not just when a marriage works together with any partner. I would say you gotta have a clear understanding of what you do. And then the other important part is separating the office from the home. When we're at home, of course, we're going to discuss things about the business, but we try to keep it separate and discuss the important parts of our relationship also, not just the business. And I think that's been the secret. It hasn't been hard. I couldn't say it's been hard for us. Some people usually tell me, "How do you do it?" for us, I think it's a grace of God that we get along so well on the business side as well. So for us, it hasn't been too much of a challenge, but considering that we try to be very clear of what each part has to bring to the table.
It's great. I often have said to people, which hat are you wearing when you speak? Are you talking about
Mhm.
the CEO hat of the business, let's
It's
say, or the spouse at home at
Mhm.
the dinner table? Or another way to put it is, one of my good friends has always said, at the Thanksgiving dinner table, don't be talking about the business, but at the boardroom in the office, don't be talking about family matters. And so there's a
Mhm.
certain, it's an interesting way you've done it. And of
And
course,
it's a challenge. It's a challenge
it is,
because
yeah.
it eventually mixes, and we're at the office, and suddenly one of our kids is sick, and we have to run that. We have to address the emergency. So it
Mhm.
eventually will happen. But as you mentioned, if you have a definition of what you should talk and what you should focus on when you're at the office or home, that helps.
Well, and this topic is, it's very common among the Catholic CEO clients. I would say a high percentage, like a majority, are family businesses where there's not only a spouse involvement, but parents and children and
Mhm.
even grandchildren to the point of several
Mhm.
generations. So it's a worthy topic for a Catholic business. I'd like to ask you, Camilo, about something else in the business. So
Mhm.
you're a Catholic-owned business, family business. You and your wife are the partners and the founders. And so how do I know that your business is a Catholic business? Can someone tell? Can someone tell that it's run by Catholics?
Yes, most definitely. Um, and this is actually uh, this somewhat recent to our company. I mean, we as leaders have always been very upfront about our faith. We, since the beginning, since we start our company, we start each meeting with a prayer with the team, not with the customers, of course, but because we want to try to be respectful on that front. But
Yes.
within our group, within our colleagues that we know we share the faith, even though, as I mentioned, not all of them are Catholic. We start every meeting with a prayer. Um, and we, in 2021, went through a change in the name of the company, the mission, the vision. We started with a different company name, but one of the main things that we changed on that day is the company mission. I think I shared it with you the other day, which is we protect life from the conception until your legacy. Um, so we not only try to put up front that we are a Catholic company, a Christian company, but also that we are a pro-life company, which is in and of itself a proclamation of where your moral stance and where your values are. Um, Also, whenever we invite someone to work with us, whether it's going to be a staff member or a broker who's going to align with us as a commercial venture, we always tell them what type of companies we are, that our main value is our faith. We are a faith-driven company. And recently, we can share also that our company is consecrated to the uh, Sagrado Corazón de Jesús, Sacred Heart of Jesus, which is a consecration that we did through an organization called His Way at Work. This was last year. So now it's not published in our website, but whenever we speak with someone who's gonna start working with us, we share it upfront because we want them to know what type of company they're coming into, because that way we can sit from people who don't want to align with that type of values, which is something that happened in 2021 when we changed the way we uh, express the type of company we were. Some people left because of that, not because of that directly, but as a consequence of that, I would say. So I think it's important to be in this day and age to be upfront of what type of person you are, what type of company you run. It's also what's the lens through where you see the decisions that you make. And I would say that our faith is the main lens that we use to make any decision business wise.
Mhm. Excellent, excellent. So, in a sense, you've paid a kind of a price. Some people have left
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Our Lord said we can't count the cost, but at the
Mhm.
same time, you have to run a business. You have to feed your family. You have to be
Yes.
successful in business. You have brokers to be responsible for. What do you? What kind of price are you paying perhaps in the future? Do you anticipate anything that would be of concern to you?
Uh, Not a concern, definitely, because as you mentioned, the Lord will give us the path that we should go through.
Yes.
Um, so it's not a concern, but I'm of course aware of the cost that we are going to uh, endure because we are so upfront about our faith and how and the way we run the business. I can give you, I mean, I can think of a monetary exact number of what we lost when we changed the way we do
Mhm.
business
Sure.
and some decisions that we made because of that. Naming we severed relationships with a couple of business partners because of that decision, because you continuing that path didn't allow to the type of company that we are trying to build, and that had a very specific price tag on what we lost. But I think we gained so much more. I can very clearly now say and feel that we are being coherent with our faith and what we believe in, and this is something that is going to continue in the future. I'm pretty sure that we're going to lose some businesses, lose some clients because of that. I don't mind. I don't really mind because, as you mentioned, I understand that I have to feed my family, but everything comes from God at the end. And this a very specific book that helped us through that phase is the book of Job. The Lord gave it, and the
Yes.
Lord take it away. So I wouldn't call it a concern, but we are aware of the cost, and we're willing to uh, go ahead with it, to endure it, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it's to be admired. It's a wonderful thing. And of course it is, our audience knows that this is what we're all going to face at some point. Some
Mhm.
of us may pay a price, low or high, but
Mhm.
we must continue in pursuit. Let's turn now, Camilo, to the topic of what you see out there in the wider society, you know, uh, for the Catholic faith. Particularly, what would you say to our audience that's made up of younger people that want to start a business?
Mhm.
They may be in the corporate world, they want to start a business. What would you say to them now about the pitfalls or should they do it?
Well, I think you actually gave me the answer to that question with the newsletter that you sent out today. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Um, Being meek or being under the radar with your faith, your values, and what you are, what you believe in is not a good long term strategy. Definitely, because eventually you will be. This is not a question of if it will happen; it's when it's going to happen. You will be confronted in the business world with a decision that's going to contradict what you believe in. Uh, some people might be uh, might not have to come that through that very often, but for the majority of us, it's going to happen. So if you prepare your heart for that moment when it comes, so you can be strong and uh, raise your hand when you need to and speak against whatever you need to speak against. Uh, it's going to be in the long run a better strategy for you, because that way you're actually trying to live your life, your career, um, as God would want you to. Um, and whatever comes from God is going to be always a good idea. So it's a risk, of course, because you might get fired, you might not get promoted, you might not get that raise that you wanted. Um, but then you have to prepare yourself. Again, you gave me the answer with your newsletter today. That was really good. If you prepare spiritually, financially, and psychologically, when that moment arrives, it's going to be much easier. Um, it's very, very hard. And I believe this is what the scripture warns us about. Very hard to serve two masters, money and God. um, and usually when we make a decision or we decide not to raise our voice when we see something that we don't agree with, it's usually related to money most of the time, I would say. So that's, I believe, the better way to look at it. If I'm serving God, then it's not a matter of when it's going to happen. I must raise my voice and I must raise my hand, and I must speak against whatever doesn't align with my values and my beliefs.
It's great. One of my Polish grandfathers used to tell us, in Polish, he'd say to us young guys, he'd say, you don't have to go looking for trouble,
Mm,
but when the trouble comes, you need to be ready and have the guts to stand up. And that, I think that's what you're telling us.
mhm.
It's a challenge. Maybe could you comment on, in the area that your neighborhood, your wider community, are young people looking to start businesses? Do they want corporate jobs? Is there a tendency for people to want to start businesses and be independent? Just curious what you might see in your local area.
Mm. I can speak of mainly Central America, which is where we operate. Couple of that will really vary depending on the country. For example, we work in El Salvador. We have some brokers there,
Yes.
and El Salvador has a very vibrant entrepreneurship community, and there's a lot of young people trying to start businesses, trying to start their own thing, which I commend. I do believe that entrepreneurship is one of the tools that God gives us to uh, build a kingdom here on earth. Um, Maybe not in other countries. Nicaragua, for example, I wouldn't say has a particularly big entrepreneurship community. It does. There are some young people, some Catholic that are starting businesses, but I wouldn't say here is a particularly good example of that.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a challenge in many different countries and cultures, isn't it? It's
Hmm.
really, it
Yes.
differs and it varies, but it's something that I can see a pattern, particularly in the U.S. And
Hmm.
even in Canada. I see a lot
Yes.
of young men in particular who are in the corporate uh, decline. They're going to move up in the corporate world, but they already know that there could be a problem in the future, and you know, they,
One of the things that I usually share with the people that we invite to work with us is that whenever possible, try to build your job or your business around your life and not your life around your business, which is what
Interesting.
usually happens whenever you start a career. If you want to climb the corporate ladder, you're going to have to study a lot and work 40, 50, 60 hours, 80 hours a week. And that's not an easy way to build a family, to build other parts of your life. So that's actually one of the blessings that we have in our industry because we are owners of our time. We decide how we structure our weeks, and then we have the opportunity to put in our calendar the important things first and build, as I mentioned, your work around your life, and not the other way around. I'm not saying with that we work less. We sometimes work even more. But as I put it with everyone that we invite to the company, you get to choose what your sacrifices are going to be. And maybe this morning I'm going to stay the whole morning at my kids' school because we have a parent meeting reunion. But then you stay up late at night preparing that proposal for for the customers or whatever else. So you get to choose what your sacrifices are going to be. And this is a gift that you get when you try to start your own business or to build something for yourself.
I like the idea of choosing the sacrifice. And one
Hmm.
of the examples that I wanted to ask you about is, some people increasingly in the Catholic business community are starting to say, I'm going to close my business on, not just the secular holidays, the bank holidays or the secular days off on the calendar that every country seems to have, but
Hmm.
I'm going to close it on, the Feast of the Assumption or the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, and I'm going to shut my business down that day. Do you see any of that happening at all? Is that going on?
Mm-mm. No, not at all. In that case, I could speak for Latin America in general. Um, we have a lot of festivities, uh,
Yes.
different throughout each country, but I wouldn't say that we close our businesses unless it's a national festivity. Uh, we wouldn't close our businesses usually for a Catholic festivity. Here in Nicaragua, as an example, we do have some festivities that are Catholic, but they're deeply ingrained on the national identity. The Assumption of Mary, the
Yes.
so the whole Easter week, of course, we only work
Yes.
until Wednesday usually.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't see many Catholic businesses deciding to close shop because of a specific celebration of the church.
Yeah. Okay, that's an
Does that
interesting.
happen in North America?
It's starting to happen more. I'm seeing it in particularly overtly Catholic businesses, like a Catholic gift store or a Catholic
Mhm,
bookstore. I've seen that often, where they say
mhm,
and they have a sign on the door that says we're closed on the universal the feast days of the Universal Church, like the ones we
mhm,
just mentioned and some other ones.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
think that there's a pattern, there's a trend for that, because that could be a way to spend time with your family, or to be more spiritually present
mhm.
on that day, rather than just be focusing on the secular world. So
I
it's an
like that
interesting,
idea.
yeah, it's an
I
interesting,
like it.
yeah, it's a good idea. So I'm going to ask you also, and feel free to answer on Espanol if you like. It's what would you say to people in Nicaragua, families where children are growing up and maybe they're considering an entrepreneurial or business career? What would you say? And if you want to give a very Spanish message, I'm happy to hear that too.
Sure. I would say that, well, what I mentioned before, try to build your life around what you do professionally and not the other way around. Your kids are gonna grow up, they're gonna leave the house. Uh, don't lose your life trying to build something that's going to be uh, ephemeral and not just work for the eternal, I would say. So in Spanish, that would be
Excellent. Thank you. I'm sure that that will be well received. So, Camilo, just thinking about, there's so much more we could talk about, but we'll be wrapping up in a second here. What would you, how do we find you? Let's say somebody wants to do business with you. Where do they find you? What's your website? Do you have any events coming up that you wanted to mention to us?
Sure. We don't have any particular events at the moment, but we are actually looking for partners, and this ties up with what you're saying. And what we were speaking about the last time we talked. Building a community for entrepreneurs around our faith, it's, I believe, important, because then you know who you're working with, what type of person, what type of business that is. So we are looking for partners in Latin America specifically, um, that want to join this industry, the financial services and health insurance, life insurance industry, because we have a franchise model, you could say, a franchise that doesn't have a cost. You don't pay anything upfront for that franchise, but we do that. We do have the know-how of how to build a financial services firm and how to start a career in financial services. And we're looking to expand beyond the countries that we are where we are already operating. So if you are present in Latin America, or you know someone who has a commercial uh, attitude and who likes the commercial side of business, which is the most important, I would say, business skill that you must have in this industry, then they can write us. They can find us at providencebrokers.com. Uh, in Facebook, Instagram, we have all the same handle, Providence Brokers, and they can shoot us an email at info@providencebrokers.com. We are actively looking for partners who want to venture in the financial services industry.
That's great, because there's a career opportunity right at home for you
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
your the children, the young people growing up, or just anybody in business. There's a good
Hmm.
chance to have a career opportunity with a Catholic-owned business that is
Hmm.
operating under morally and ethically wonderful principles. So thanks for mentioning that. Well, thank you, Camilla,
Of
for being
course.
with us today. This is the time goes by so quickly. We're very appreciative of what you are doing, and thanks for being here. And God bless you and your family and your business. And we'll see you
Thank
again.
you, Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.